We are live. We are live now. Who's carrying on the conversation? Okay. All right. It's April 17th, the year of our Lord 2026. Was that correct? That's the shout out to Steve Bannon, because that's how he opens up his show, talking about the year of our Lord. So we say the same thing. We're big Steve Bannon fans here, but it's been a busy week and we got a lot to talk about, but we're going to have three folks on today that are running for office since it's kind of candidate season. Number one is we're going to have Chuck Rhodes, who's running for House District 22. Then we've got Robert E. Lee, who's running for Congressional District 4 up here in Greenville, Spartanburg area. And then we're going to have Alan Kellet, who's running for Greenville County Council. I think it's District 28. It's very confused down there. The 28 House District is different than 28 County Council, and they're like two different areas, and it's overlapping. It's weird. But we do have a couple guests today that would like to introduce. Welcome. Glad you're here. And if you'd like to just tell us your name, if your precinct, if you know it, which is where you vote, and what your cause is.
I'm Janet Lee, and I'm Janet, and I vote at Laurel Ridge.
Okay.
And Greer. Okay. And I just wanted to stop in and see what was happening here today, and I'm a supporter of Robert E. Lee.
Oh, okay. That's a common last name. That's quite all right. All right.
They saw the sign.
They saw the sign for Robert E. Lee? Okay.
And then he decided to stop.
Okay, fantastic. No, I assume there's a familiar relationship. That is just fine, and we're welcome. Thank you for coming. All right, so why don't we get into Chuck first? There's been a whole lot of things this week. I mean, other things, but let's go ahead and just talk to Chuck about what he's doing. House District 22 is my personal district, so we have a little bit of extra interest in that. It was Jason Elliott, who then ran for the Senate seat 2 years ago and won that against Ben Carper in the runoff, just under 300 votes. And then Paul Wickensheimer was elected. He ran against Stan Jubilakis 2 years ago, so it's relatively new. And then Chuck has decided to throw his name in the hat to run for House District 22. And it's very interesting to watch how this race is going to develop. If it's okay, I'll tell everyone that you are literally knocking on every single door out there, like 8 hours a day. So Chuck will give you his background, but we thought, we came home one day and there was a palm card or a 8.5 by 11 sheet stuck in our doorknob. It's like, and Olga comes and said, "Oh, Chuck came and knocked on the door," and we thought it was kind of a setup. It's like, because sometimes you'll go hit, you'll have a list of hard R's, or you'll have a list of certain people you want them to know that you're out there door knocking. And he had no earthly idea it was our house. So
I had no clue. I got a text out of nowhere. I was like, "Oh wow, really?" I was like, "That's pretty cool."
But I'm happy for what you're doing. Excited about what you're doing, and it's motivational, especially because we had Gary Collins on here a couple weeks ago, and Gary gave how he door knocked, and he did the same thing. He literally knocked on every single door in his county council district. He was out there, and even to this day, I think he takes. I think once a month or once a quarter, he'll go, or I think it's monthly, he'll go and hit door knock on two neighborhoods or two precincts in his district. And, he talks to a lot of people. And I think it's important to talk to a lot of people. Most of us, the political consulting world will tell you, hey, just focus on the hard R's, the people that come out and vote in the primaries, which mathematically it does make sense. But I always admire candidates that get out there and talk to everybody, because you'll end up representing everybody. And it actually, the Scott Pressler type thing, you'll get more people that will come out and vote quite hopefully. So, and that's what we're pushing too. We want more people to remember June 9th, and then 2 weeks before that, but vote June 9th. So I'll hand it over to Chuck and give us your background, full name, how you're going to show up on the ballot.
Well, thank you so very much, Jeff. I appreciate you for having me on. It's truly an honor. First thing I want to give I want to give everybody a friendly reminder that June 9th, 2026 is the Republican primary. I'm actually running in it for District 22, South Carolina, House of Representatives. And Randolph Chuck Rhode Jr. is how it is on the ballot. It's a little confusing on there. That's why I want to make sure I say my name completely. It's a little difficult sometimes. I go Randolph, and then I'm like, no, or you go by Chuck. I'm like, of course, but I have to go my full legal name, so there is no confusion when they do get to the ballot. I've had an amazing time just going out, meeting potential constituents of the area that I would be representing. Very nice people, even people that disagree with me. They've actually been very polite. No bad blood. Usually I just simply walk away. Some of them want to talk to me and complain about, different issues, but, I'm nice and respectful about it. I don't believe there's any way to get, to not be respectful regarding that. They have a different opinion than me. I mean, I just pray, as being a follower of Jesus Christ, I always pray that, Satan has a deceptive hand out there. And a lot of these people are entangled in that. It's really not their fault in that end. There's just so much deception going on out there. I just pray that people, will find Christ and will, that's all I can pray for. I can't force anybody to do anything, Go to a Bible-based church. That's probably the first step I can say, And I was recently saved. I've always been Republican. I've always been conservative. I've always been God-fearing also. But I probably haven't been the best Christian at times, especially, I'll tell you, my toughest thing is speaking ill of others. I did do that in the past. Recently is becoming a Christian, born again Christian. That's really helped me. Also kind of understand some people also to probably kind of sway them to the correct way of doing things.
So you used to talk bad about me, is that what you're saying?
I usually do that to your face.
Yeah, that's right. That's fine. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, no, that's 100%.
The other joke I was going to throw in there, does anybody get scared because you're like, I'm not voting for you because you're Chucky, and they're scared of the Chucky movie?
I haven't done that one yet. I have. I'll tell you the funniest, since my face is on my flyers, I have had people hold the flyer up to my face and make sure it's me. I'm like, I go, yeah, that's why I'm on there. That picture is taken outside, so my eyes are really closed in that picture. So that's the only part that people get confused. My eyes are, that was a outside in the sun picture. It's my favorite business picture, and therefore I used it.
It's funny because I told him yesterday that when we take pictures with Terry, whenever she smiles, her eyes shut. I'm like, can you smile and actually keep your eyes open?
It's difficult. I remember I did that at the DMV one time. I had to take my driver's license picture about 5 times, and when I lived in Nevada.
Right.
So I was originally born in Sandusky, Ohio, in the Midwest. My mother proudly served in the United States Air Force. Well, thank you. And I'm very blessed for that. I had a great upbringing. My mother always taught me hard work is number one. We did move to Las Vegas, Nevada. And as much as it does seem that it wasn't a conservative area at the time, we lived around the Air Force Base, and it really was. One of the reasons I did leave Nevada, and I know a lot of people have the same thing, that it progressively does not get as conservative. And it is an issue, especially with your morals and values. So what I did was I actually moved to Knox County, Tennessee, which I love. We had actually the most amazing mayor there, Glenn Jacobs. I don't know if anybody knows him that much about him. Great guy. I actually met him. He laughed at me one time. There was a pet walk. I have my little Yorkshire Terrier, and I was walking, and she could barely keep up. And I still remember him laughing at me. He's a great guy. I went and talked to him. It was super funny. I thought it was funny too at that point. But I love state South Carolina. I love the Greenville area. It's an amazing place. I couldn't have picked a better place to move to. I mean, just the people are great. I would say even the local people are amazing here. I love them. I love the people that have moved here from other areas in the same situation I was. They're more conservative. They just wanted to get away from the more liberal values that were being, inflicted in communities in general. So that's just kind of a little bit about me. And also,
so you didn't live here to elect Democrats. So.
Oh man, you caught me. No, I've always had, and I do want to say, actually, all my platforms, most of them are, and they're on my website. It's makeamericabuffagain.com. I didn't want to redo my domain, so I was cheap about that. I just used the same domain.
If you can't tell, he's in pretty good shape. And when Olga, we had a dental appointment, I guess maybe back in December or something like that. It was cold as all get out, and we were driving there, and it's over in Greer, so we were driving a distance to get there. And Olga goes, I think that's Chuck running down the road, and it was.
Yeah,
it was it was cold and it was rainy and.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you the best part. I love running in the winter, and I'm going to tell you the funniest reason why. As long as it's not below 30, anything above 30 is okay. I got to tell you, it is the best.
Anything below 65 is not okay.
Oh no.
From Ohio.
Oh yeah.
You're taking away my number one excuse for not running. It's too cold. It's too hot.
Well, no. So I usually run to like a tanning bed, like my Crunch Fitness I go to. Run to the tanning bed, 6 miles, go to the tanning bed, tan, warm me up, and then run back. Yeah. Yeah. It was great. I loved it. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do that right now. I think my feet would be a little too bit out of bad shape. I've actually been walking around. Some days I've been walking around 8 hours, depending on what the temperature. Yesterday, probably not so much. I had to take a few water breaks, come back here. Luckily, I was able to park my car here, which I greatly appreciated. Walked here, made it back. And it's just great meeting people and going out in the community in general. I did want to say all my platforms are based on President Trump's executive orders.
Give the website again.
Oh, Make America Buff Again.
Make America Buff Again.
Yep.
Even though and you do have your real estate license, so you do real estate, but
exactly.
you also are a personal trainer.
I have my own personal training.
Right. So that was your website with your personal training, and you just converted that into your political website.
Yeah,
so.
it was easy. Just a few clicks there, and everybody that knew me. And
does it have anything to do with Donald Trump? Make America Buff Again? Or is he a client of yours?
I wish. That'd be amazing. I'd truly be blessed then.
Okay. Tell us about your platform and why.
So my platform, some of the things I'm looking to do, actually, I'm looking into judicial reform, school choice, property taxes, government efficiency and spending, maintaining and improving roads, protecting South Carolina from criminal illegal immigrants, allowing law enforcement to protect and serve our communities. And then I do have one special last item that I do want to go over today. So regarding judicial reform, I came from both the states of Tennessee and Nevada. I do have to say the current system in place to appoint judges in South Carolina, from my perspective, is disappointing. Changing the South Carolina Constitution allow
elections. A little disappointing, like a lot.
Well, as I do say, it's just me being a born again Christian. I'm trying that, and that really is honestly on there. That's why I try to kind of go in there. Obviously, people aren't happy in general. Nobody I've talked to is happy about it.
Yeah.
So
it's an issue. We are one of two states where the judges are picked by the legislature. Yeah. The other state being Virginia, and we see where Virginia's going. Exactly. But it's an issue or a concern, and it's becoming a bigger issue for people. So,
and it may, because changing the Constitution, it's going to be a time-consuming process. To go and do that, it has to go on the ballot. It has to, the whole thing on there.
It can be done. Yes, it has to do with how our Constitution is written, but there are some tweaks that they can do with Judicial Merit Selection Committee that can buy us time until you could do a constitutional change. So,
I'm really for free and fair elections determined by registered voters, U.S. citizens that are supposed to vote in elections. And I'm actually thinking possibly during the presidential cycles that we would have those elections, and I do believe they should be partisan. They actually have that in Texas, and it's actually worked out pretty well for them. There's been some obviously hiccups in it, but I think for the most part, partisan elections is the way to go. And I'm a big firm believer in that. Yeah.
The other issue, obviously judicial reform, but closed primaries is what we call it. That's partisan elections. Right now, anybody can go vote in either the Republican or the primary, or the Democrat or Green Party or whoever has their election. You just go, you walk in and they say, do you want a Democratic or a Republican ballot? And I voted Democrat last time. Maybe I'll vote Republican this time. So, and there are becoming, and people, you see it, they make concerted efforts to literally go out and say, hey, I'm a Democrat, but I'm going to go vote in the Republican primary for the most liberal Republicans. So that's the problem that we're experiencing.
Yeah, that can happen, unfortunately. That's kind of how we're at right now. The only appointments by the governor I would want is if the justice is removed from office or voluntarily withdrawals from office. I also would like magistrates to be carry a law degree, because they're not required to now with the state of South Carolina.
Which is funny, is most people think the magistrate judges are usually people you appear for like traffic stuff, but but you don't have to have a law degree, which and there's obviously plenty of lawyers, so you would seem that. But I think why they don't have that is because you will notice a lot of former legislators then get appointed to be magistrate judges, and it's kind of like, or their son or their relative or something like that. And the other interesting thing, just not that it's a requirement in the law, but probate judges do not have to be lawyers. So I always thought that was, they are elected at least, which is strange for our whole system. The probate judges are actually elected. They are actually partisan elections, and it's just even crazier. And not that partisan election is crazy but it's just like we don't have partisan elections for regular, politicians that are legislating, but we have partisan elections for people who are judges. Which,
that will get justice after we die.
yeah, maybe finally we get some justice on death. So, but that's but probate judges don't have to be lawyers either. So,
And the next thing I definitely want to go over school choice. Unfortunately, the South Carolina public education system in whole just hasn't lived up to expectations in general.
And this is not a setup. Olga and our issue is school choice. We haven't really talked a lot about it, so but
no problem.
You're
No,
throwing it out there. So
no, I totally thrown it out there. They did recently pass some legislation to partially address the issue, doing the Education Trust Fund to fund 10,000 South Carolina youth. It does increase to 15,000 within a year, but it also retains some income requirements, and percentage-wise, the student population assisted does still fall short of expectations. One of the facts I did want to give specific numbers for the 25-26 school year, the South Carolina Revenue and Fiscal Affairs Office have an estimate of $21,336 per pupil for public schools.
You hear that? That's what we're spending. That's what the taxpayers are spending.
And it's on my website.
Per child in public school. $21,000
Per school year.
per school year. 21,336, and I don't know if that even includes the $1,500 for the facilities. It may or may not. And so they report it differently sometimes.
And
But
keep in mind, that's for average student, not a student that needs any special services.
right, so some of those kids will get more, some get less, but the average is 21,000 per child. It's a bunch.
And the number lowers to 12,884 for charter schools. Oh yeah, no, it's 100% cool. What?
No, I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's 100% cool.
Disrupt.
No, hey, if you need to stop during that, I'm 100% cool. Yeah.
Is Fountain in one a heckler? She's not in your district anyhow. So
It's
don't worry.
fine. I never. It's 100% cool.
But she wore a good shirt today though.
All right. Well, my thing, honestly, was why we're utilizing an option that is proven to be less advantageous for the children and ultimately less cost efficient. We're looking at about like an $8,000 difference there. One of the proposals I would like to do if I got elected to the legislature is draft a bill that would survey. First step would be survey whom is interested in the Education Trust Program, regardless of income, placing specifications on it. Well, and I do want to actually add this also. I do want to place some specifications because this came up in Texas, actually. Any parties that are listed as terrorist organizations designated by the governor in Texas, Florida, or the United States government. And I do want to exclude any unfriendly countries to the United States for being able to fund these schools. I do want to get people interested involved in the Education Trust Program, then offer with the savings, offer college scholarships based off both scholastic achievement and the ability to complete 4 years of high school within 3 years, eliminating both costs in annual primary education and the number of years of the education system would be really good. And that's just an idea personally that I had. And also, one of the reasons I do want to actually increase that $7,500 to $9,000. Florida's at $8,000. I don't want to lose to them, on that. In education, Arizona actually has 11,000 on theirs that they provide. Let's get it up to 9,000. And I think honestly, a good goal point number, and there could be, I don't think there'll be more just based off the statistics. I think it's like 20% in Florida and 20% in Arizona. We're looking at up to about 250,000 students with no basis of income. This would include charter schools, private schools, and homeschool programs. Let's save the taxpayer money and really just get our children a better education. And I'm going to give a personal story regarding education when I was growing up. I grew up with a single mother who worked extremely hard to support me, and I had limited supervision at times. The extended times I had on my hands during the summer months would either cause laziness or getting myself into trouble with friends. Offering an accelerated program for 3 years would actually give children a few weeks off for vacations, like adults would get, but it wouldn't give that extended summer break time. It would actually incentivize them to work harder, work faster on things. And it would also help parents that are consistently having their children at school, especially for daycare needs and things like that. It would actually help a lot of people in general, I believe. And it would require knowledge to continue to keep their students' minds sharp during the summer months. And it's going to ultimately save money for the state because we're going to be doing it in one less year. Those savings could go towards, and this is why I really like the Scholastic Achievement Scholarship Program for students in post-secondary vocational school or college education, ultimately helping both the students and the parents. And I have details on my website, and I'm going to be honest, I can't remember exactly what I put on there, specifically a specific SAT, ACT score. They have to be enrolled in the program for 3 years. Just kind of like, if you look at where the costs are going, it will actually, if you give them the $9,000 to go to a charter school or whatever, it's ultimately going to save the state money. It's actually going to give them an incentive to work harder at their education. And it's going to actually it's going to give the state an incentive to kind of pass them through quicker, but not just pass them through, get them educated quicker.
And that's very, I haven't heard anybody talking about that. And that's kind of unique. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a unique idea, and it's something that a lot of these kids are graduating, high school, and they have either an associate's degree or sometimes even more, which I find very encouraging.
Yeah.
You're saying, hey, if you can graduate early, go ahead and help pass along some of that savings or give that as a scholarship to go to college.
It's incentivization based off scholastic merit.
Yeah.
And that's what we really need, I think, just to help people out. And I'd also like to meet with some private school, charter school, and some homeschool leadership teams, because I'm not most well-versed on this, to ensure that I'm not missing anything on my end, and we're ultimately to give our children a better education.
Yeah.
Do you have children, Jeff?
Unfortunately, I do not. No, I'm sorry. I do have a lot of friends that have children, though, and I actually kind of see some of the stuff that they tell me is going on, and it's just, it's heartbreaking.
I mean, we don't have kids. Education is the future, and we need to. And I guess maybe some of us think more about it because we're not living through it. So we're thinking about how out of the box and how do we get more people in there, more kids educated. And, because in our issue with the school choice that we have here in South Carolina, our issue is this government run. So, and what's happening now, if I wanted to go open, and there are satanic schools or Wiccan schools, if I want to go open a Wiccan school, which are apparently witches or whatnot, you can, apply for that money because it's government money, and what we advocate for is the tax credit scholarships, which is kind of the granddaddy of school choice, has been out there, and everybody's pushed this government run solution, which who thinks anything government run is good? And you're like, well, why are Republicans pushing government run? Why is the Freedom Caucus pushing government run school choice? Well, Adam Morgan's family owned a education consulting business, so that's why they were doing it. And I'm like, well, freedom is not more government. Freedom is less government. And what we're really involved in, very excited about, is Trump's new part of Trump's big beautiful bill is a huge school choice federal program, which gets you a little nervous with the feds doing anything, but it is a true school choice program in that it's a tax credit scholarship, and it has literally as minimal strings as anything I could ever imagine, and it qualifies for all kinds of kids all over the country, and it's to us it's going to be very exciting. And what's funny is it's not modeled after these government-run solutions, and while a lot of the Republican states have pushed these government-run solutions because there's money involved in it. So we all complain about what the education teacher lobbies are trying to do. And we all say, oh, they're just trying to control all the money. Well, we have Republican groups that are trying to do the same thing on school choice as opposed to a free market solution. So we'll talk about it. And we, that's what I'm saying. We haven't even talked about
and on my end too, I do not have children, so I really would like more feedback from the people in the industry to just say, hey, could we make this better?
Well, and your number one thing is saving money.
Exactly.
Because this saves taxpayer money. If the average is 21,000 plus for a public school kid, while a charter school is 12, which is a government school, while the average private school I think is around $6,000 or $7,000. It's a church school that the facilities provided for free, a lot of volunteers, people, that type of thing. And so we're educating children. A lot of those kids think about homeschool. I mean, a lot of homeschooler kids, we have one here, they are smarter than most of us that went to regular schools, and it's incredible. I mean, it really is. And they're being educated for, buying the curriculum for $1,000 or $1,500 a year, so, I mean, obviously, homeschool kids at my age, they were the different kids, but now they're actually, now they're the normal kids. Emerson was a homeschooler, so.
My child was half and half. She was homeschooled for about 4 years.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of, and I actually talking to the homeschool kids, I mean, I think you literally learn in about half a day what, there's so many extra stuff the kids in the public schools are doing, which have nothing to do with education.
Exactly.
So even though everybody appreciates high school football and all that kind of stuff, I'm like, make all that stuff club sports, if you ask me, and focus more just on the education stuff, but give the opportunity for that. So, but I love that idea about taking some of that savings and passing it on and giving some incentive to be able to, have a scholarship
and to get them into college quicker, and then they can get their career started quicker. There's so many positives.
Yeah, there really is.
It really is. It just really is. And there really is the time. If you look at how the credits are people graduate early all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like consistently, but you can. I mean, if you put things together, I probably could have, but I wanted my senior year of high school, or I'd sit around and take 2 classes and, take a nap half the time. It was that's kind of the thing there. And let's skip that. Let's get them, directly from school into college. I really think it's the best, So the next thing I did want to go over is government efficiency. Most South Carolinians believe that there is room for improvement in efficiency in city governments, county governments, and state agencies. From business perspective, unless you have to make snap decisions, honestly, as we did in the Doge system, that's probably why they did have to cut some of the programs that quickly, because there were appointment times, et cetera, on there. Honestly, I don't think if you have to, yes. If you don't, I'd probably not go that route. I mean, obviously, there's like 1 or 2 programs you can eliminate without review, but that's really not the majority. Probably from any business perspective, you definitely want to take a quicker examination on it, where it is. But what I would want to do is work with our future governor on some legislation creating a new Department of Efficiency, for the primary key performance indicator would be to decrease each municipality and state agency spending by 5 to 10% annually. The individuals working for this department would be incentivized by a bonus structure, finding more efficient ways to operate, and of course, the annual 5 to 10% decrease. Some departments could possibly see additional decreases for funding, and some, like my opinion, the police departments could possibly see increases in funding. Lowering everything 5 to 10% annual should be an attainable goal, in my opinion.
Sure.
Another thing I actually do want to look into is amending the current system of 4% property taxes, amending the current system of 4% for primary residents, 6% for secondary residents, to 3% primary, and then increasing to 10% for secondary residences, honestly, to dissuade Wall Street investors from purchasing properties from hardworking South Carolinians. And I can say that as a domino effect. And you see the increase in house prices here. People had to come from somewhere. A lot of places, especially like major cities, a lot of Wall Street investors purchase the properties cash as opposed to somebody getting a loan, because it's a quicker process and they were able to offer more money. That actually does divert down into, that's why Greenville's housing prices have increased so much right there. And it really just affects everybody. One of the things to dissuade it, President Trump actually did do a executive order regarding this. And one of the things to actually dissuade people from doing this would be to place a higher property tax on secondary homes.
Sure.
You know, that's just my opinion on it. Then the next one is maintaining and improving road conditions.
Yay!
Yeah. Thank you.
Are you running for governor?
Yeah, really.
U.S. Senate? Which one?
I'm not going to take credit for a lot of this. So a lot of it, honestly, a lot of these things,
Most people say, I want to go to Columbia, be in the State House just for
I
all
wanna
the,
do the
the
right
parties. He's actually thinking of things.
I don't even care. I had a conversation with you, Jeff, last night. If I spend time just with me and my dog, that's, you know, I'm great. I mean, that's the thing. I really have some good ideas out here. I prayed about this before everything. I really prayed about this. And I said, is there anything, God, that you can give me these ideas or like whatever? And I really did pray about it. And I do have a unique perspective on a lot of things. A lot of these aren't cookie cutter ideas from anybody else. These are things that I thought on. I did take a lot of inspiration off Donald Trump's executive orders. I really did. And I said, hey, how could I apply? I went through every single one up until I think I did stop, I think, at the end of March because I was starting to work on my campaign stuff. I did up until then. And I kind of said, hey, is there any way I could apply this to South Carolina somehow to make the majority of people's lives better?
Which I thought was a great idea. And if you look on his website, he does have all the executive orders on there. Think about each one of those executive orders. Somebody spent a lot of time researching it. You know, the language was, I mean, you know, why don't we just copy that? It's kind of like a lot of people like what DeSantis does. I might just copy what DeSantis does. He announces it one day, we announce it the next day.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it's
100%
simple
right
things.
there, you know.
Well, yeah, question.
Chuck,
And-
what is your feeling about property tax on one's own vehicle?
Well, I mean, so it's funny you brought that up because somebody I was talking to, the Tax Act 388, where that was listed on there. It's weird how it was on. It's weird how they put it because it used to be no property tax on the vehicles here, from my understanding. It was a while back.
Apparently, it's not in New York. That's where this is coming from.
Yeah, but I didn't have a car for 30 years until I moved.
Oh yeah, in Nevada's kind of the same way. There's a property tax on there on the vehicles. It's a high one. I think California. There's a lot of states, but Tennessee didn't have anything. It was like $80.
When you pay sales tax
Yeah.
when you buy the vehicle, and then you're paying property tax on your own property.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's how it's. I would have to. My thing is, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's one of those things. Also, I'd have to look into the funding because there's a lot of different funding. It goes property taxes, personal vehicle taxes, manufacturing taxes, which those are high. I mean, they're like 10%.
Yeah,
you know, they're
that's why we have to feel those.
Exactly. Yeah, they have a lot of different taxes, and I'm one for balancing out the budget if we can. I'm not one of those people also to go out there and say, hey, let's just eliminate something without looking further into it.
They did just eliminate the tax, I think, on boats. I think they just pass that. I think they did. So your boat is now flowing their tax.
Every year, it's divvied out to different things in Greenville. I
Yeah.
don't know if it's, but I think it has to do with my car somehow. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's the newer the vehicle you have. Honestly, my last car, I actually bought an older car. I have that 07 Pontiac Solstice GXP, but it only had 18,000 miles when I bought it. So if you ever want to get around the system, that's how you do it.
Yes, that's why we drive old
Watch.
cars. Yeah.
Exactly.
I get frustrated at the $15 or $25 fee they put on there
Yeah.
because my taxes are like next to nothing.
Yeah, mine
This
are
is
like
an old vehicle.
$50 or something.
Turn that on. I'm not sure if it's actually on. Yes.
Hey Chuck, how you doing? I'm Anthony from St.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, yeah, a long time.
The vehicle tax, I have multiple vehicles, and I noticed when I looked at my bill, you get the real estate tax. It's the same taxes on each of my vehicles, broken down smaller.
Right.
I find that quite unfair.
Yeah.
Because I shouldn't be paying the real estate tax, I should be paying the Greer technical school tax, the library tax, and it's on each of my vehicles' registration.
Mhm.
And, just tax me at one time opposed to breaking it down to
Correct.
all the
I
vehicles.
think the reason why also on that, and I'm not saying it's the right reason, if I had to guess, is because the two agencies don't cross-check each other. For example, the DMV wouldn't cross-check the assessors. Oh, sorry. You can hear me, right?
And
Okay.
thanks to my.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'm just trying. I'm a people
Just to
person.
repeat the question had to do with how the taxes are on all your different vehicles and
Right, the
split
same.
out.
Yeah.
And
Not each
yeah,
vehicle.
and we've kind of talked about it.
I think A
it's
is
more about
communicating with B.
Yes.
I honestly, if I had to guess, it's just not communicating with me on there.
And they're trying to spread it out. They're it's
Yeah.
just $10.
Yeah.
Oh, it's $10. But if you're like Anthony, you got 20 cars, and you're like,
It's tough. I mean, yeah. I came from Tennessee before. There was like no tax on
Ray has a
Yeah.
question.
Ray has a question.
And then I would like to address the last.
Yeah. Yeah, because we do have one issue that you pointed out to us this morning, and I thought was a big deal. So,
Right.
Pro-life group has just gotten a break. I was going to talk about it later. S1055 actually went from the subcommittee to the committee. So when this or any other pro-life bill were to come up to where you could vote on it, what's your opinion on saving the lives of unborn children?
Oh, I'm going to get this in a two-part thing, and I talked to Jeff.
I would look into the camera for that one.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely no. Let me give a two-part on this.
This is the basic question is what's your
Oh, yeah.
position for life?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually I'm a believer in the Bible. I follow the Bible to the T. I try to on everything. Obviously, I've made I'm going to make a mistake here and there, but on this issue, 100% to the T. I actually go off Romans 13, 1 through 4. My position on this is I'm against any kind of abortion. It is not fair to the child that has not, they haven't committed a sin. So therefore, why is man making a judgment at that point? And that's how I feel on it. But it's also the same reason that I'm for capital punishment, that somebody did something wrong, they were judged, therefore you do need to bear the sword. You can't bear the sword on an unborn child. That is my position on there.
Fair. Very good. Thank you for that. What Olga's talking about is the Democratic individual that's running in this race, and we can talk about some other stuff.
Yeah, no.
But you tell us what you discovered and what you found out.
Well, I mean, this is unfortunate in so many ways. Irina Zarutska came as a legal immigrant to the United States. She came for a better life to Charlotte, North Carolina, which is about 2 hours away, and it's in another state. On August 22nd, 2025, a career criminal that I don't even want to get the satisfaction of mentioning his name, murdered on a train with a video. There's a video camera of it. It's very clear as day. This isn't something where someone, just did something in general, I mean, my Democratic, if I win this primary, my Democratic opponent, Joshua Snow Kendrick, is for this District 22 State House of Representatives, is representing this guy.
Really?
He went, and I'm one for empathy. I know attorneys. My grandfather was an attorney. My uncle was an attorney. If this happened in Greenville County or something, and it happened to get on his desk, and he's actually happening to have to defend this guy with no choice, I would feel differently about this. My opponent, the Democratic opponent, went out of his way to another state, to another city, another state, out of his jurisdiction to represent this individual.
So think about it. He is the lead outside counsel representing the individual that murdered.
Irina. Let's never
Yes.
forget her name.
Marina's
And we actually, at our quarterly meeting on Monday, we took a moment of silence for her, obviously for her death, but also for the fact that this individual, the murderer, is not being held accountable because he's not. I think the judge ruled he's not fit for trial.
And this gentleman, Joshua Snow Kendrick, he's the one that's in charge of that. I mean,
And I was shocked about it.
Yeah.
Chuck mentioned it to us, and I'm like, let me look this up. This
I
can't-
know, and I said
can't
something new because I'm not trying to spread fake news. I'm not trying to do anything like this. Is a fact. I went out and looked at the court
that's
documents. I mean, it's just sad. This guy is ungodly. I mean, my thing, even to voters that don't normally vote Republican, do you want an ungodly man in the Democratic Party even coming close to Columbia or having any sort of influence in Columbia? I don't. I mean, I know people that I couldn't imagine anybody. It's just, and I'm using probably the nicest term I can by ungodly on this. I'm trying to not speak ill. I think that term is fine. I'm check that out, in general. It's just sad. It's just really sad that people would do this and then decide to get into public office after. So.
Because I'm a lawyer, I'm a tax guy, and it's just everybody hates IRS. So I'm always nice, So, everybody deserves legal counsel, but it appears in this position that this gentleman is going to another state, pro hoc vice, so he's not even admitted to practice in North Carolina, but he's pro hoc vice into this case. Some people do it because they want to get these people off. They're pushing a political agenda. And is that the political agenda we would want in Columbia against the Democrat in November? And what I talked about, and we brought it up at the meeting on Monday. I brought it up with some folks this morning, in a chat. It's just kind of like Republicans are all fighting each other when the real enemy is right here in House District 22, the Democrat that's running to represent my district, our district, down there. So
I'm actually embarrassed that this guy even lives in.
It's a little shocking.
I really am. It's sad. It's just sad, that somebody went out of their way to do this.
Well, I think we're going to talk a lot more about that
Absolutely.
After this. But you got doors to knock.
I do.
Right?
I'm going to go knock on some doors.
I don't know how he does it, but maybe I wish I was fit. Maybe that's the exercise routine. Run for office and knock on every single door.
God's blessing.
I have to ask my question. What do you think about the geoengineering that's going on in our skies?
Somebody actually asked me about that. I didn't really have too much chance to look at that. I apologize.
I wrote some brochures and flyers.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. I will look at it. Yeah, I will.
Lee Gilreath, the House rep out of Anderson, that's one of his big issues, and I think they're having something. Deb, when's the meeting that Lee's having?
May 18th, El Bethel Baptist Church.
May 18th over it's in Greer.
I have flyers if anyone wants
Yeah.
them.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Sorry if I went over a little
No,
bit.
that's okay.
I have a lot to say. I was worried about not being able to fill up the time. You weren't. So.
We always
Well,
drive
it was a pleasure speaking with everybody today. Feel free to reach out. All my contact information is on my website if you'd like to.
And what's the website again?
MakeAmericaBuffAgain.com. Everything's on there.
MakeAmericaBuffAgain.com.
Exactly. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
It's
But
fantastic.
thank you everybody for listening to me and all your questions. I really appreciate everything. Seriously.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it.
All right. And next up, we're going to have Robert E. Lee. Welcome. I love the name.
Thank you, Jeff Davis.
I told Robert when he came in today, I said, I must be on. I got to be completely frank about this. I said, when I saw that he had signed up to run for office, we had not met before. We hadn't met before today. I said, Robert E. Lee. So I texted Congressman Timmons, his opponent in the 4th Congressional. I said, I'm thinking about filing 2 so we would have a full slate of Robert E. Lee and Jeff Davis. And then my other joke was, but
that would help him for sure.
it would be definitely funny, but because the joke has always been, because people say, oh, just put your name on, you live in the South, put your name on the ballot. Jeff Davis, people might just press the button, and Danny Ford's running for ag commissioner, and that's a popular name. And but I think Robert E. Lee might actually be more popular than Jeff Davis. So it's
it's a heck of a name. That's what I'm.
And it's your real name, right?
Yes.
All right. That's the clock, because somebody broke our clock, and that's the new clock that was the replacement. And every hour, 3 minutes early is when it goes off, and so we'll be fine now. So should have warned you about it. So, but you go, Robert E. Lee. You're running for the 4th Congressional District. Tell us about why you got interested. Tell us a little bit your background, your website, all that kind of good stuff. And we'll take it from there.
Itself says it all. Make America great again. That's what we were excited about 2 years ago, 2024. The inauguration day laid out all the promises. It was big. Justice, transparency, peace. It was all on the table. It was imminent. Trump was going to stop the wars with one day in Ukraine. And I think he made some good promises about Gaza too. All of that was going to happen. Those were the biggest deals. And that did not happen. We have more wars. The death tolls in Gaza and Ukraine are rising. It's very hard to get a death toll in Ukraine. He is instigating more wars, not on his own behalf. We all know what Marco Rubio said about Israel was going to strike and we wanted to strike first. So we're not in control of our military forces. We don't have, and I'm not running against Trump, I'm running against Timmons, who is not pushing back against it. He's not pushing back. He's voting for the wars. Right. He did not sign Thomas Massey's discharge petition to force a vote on the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Hugely popular. If you look at any of his comments on Facebook, Twitter, anything Timmons posts, you're going to see comments, especially around transparency, saying, why didn't you sign Massey's discharge petition? Actually, on the day that was signed, he posted something saying that the DOJ, the Department to Obstruct Justice, released X number of emails, documents.
Right.
Well, the comments, they're saying, yeah, the FBI already released it. That's nothing new. That's a nothing burger. Come on, why didn't you sign the petition?
So you're a Thomas Massey fan.
Oh, I'm
all that kind of stuff.
100%.
Okay.
He's quite a patriot. He's courageous. Trump was trying to get all the Republicans to, well, it was his discharge petition. He definitely didn't want him to do that. And why? The question is why. If it's a Democrat hoax, who cares? Release it. If he's not implicated in there, release it. But that scandal is way bigger than Watergate. It's huge. And it just looks terrible. If you can flip through the emails at online and from the Department of Justice website, why is every name having to do with beef jerky redacted? That's creepy.
I mean, we're definitely supporters of release it all, let the chips fall where they may, all that kind of stuff. So I mean,
can you defend Timmons, your buddy?
I'm his buddy.
You texted him that I was telling you. All of his merch is here.
I think I'm the chairman of the Greenville County Republican Party. I have a responsibility to work with elected officials and candidates.
No,
it was.
Jeff doesn't know.
Okay.
You don't have to
defend him. Sorry.
No, Jeff texted him when you filed.
Okay.
No one texted him and said you were coming.
Okay.
Just to put on the record.
Right. That is what you said. Okay.
Okay. So
I don't like this now.
Olga's my wife, and she gets defensive about things.
I stand up to my
Yeah. No, I mean, I will. I mean, we've had our difficulties with the congressman in the past. In the old days, he's running for office for I guess this will be his 5th term, or 10 years. He has committed to this will be his last term and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, that's all out there. Me personally, we've gotten to, he seems to he supports the president.
100%. I can't.
Yeah. I mean, he does
says
support.
jump, he says how high. He doesn't have any checks and balances. Our legislation is to push against the executive branch when they are obviously not keeping their promises, the MAGA promises of 2024. I'm not running on an original platform. This is all.
Aren't the checks and balances of the Democrats?
Our representative should have signed Thomas Massey's discharge petition to force a vote on the Epstein Files Transparency Act. He did not. That is huge.
But you understand that the party, the leadership, and what they were trying to do. If you've seen anything we talk about, we give a lot of grace to what Trump is trying to do. Right. It is I can tell you from a local level, it is very difficult to move large numbers of people in the right direction for the agenda.
Question. He shouldn't have to. He shouldn't have to be checking the executive branch. They should be working together. So why are we having more wars? Why don't we have transparency for the Epstein files and justice for it?
We're having Iran because their people murdered 42,000 folks. Do you think we should have just sat back and said, okay, that's neat?
Are you talking about Hezbollah?
I'm talking about Iran. They killed 42,000 people.
Before
in the past? Yes.
Okay.
Are you unaware that they murdered 42,000 protesters in Iran before we dropped a bomb?
I'm a mechanical engineer. I should just be dealing with strength to weight ratios and air fuel ratios. Somehow I got involved in measuring civilian death ratios.
Okay.
Do you have any idea what the ratio of civilians' deaths caused by Hezbollah to Israel versus IDF to Lebanon.
Oh,
I'm aware post all after October 7th, I'm sure the numbers changed substantially. Yes. What are they?
IDF
Tell us.
killed about 4,000 civilians in Lebanon, where Hezbollah they've killed about 46. That's us. That's us.
And that's
funding
all post October 7th or whatever. What was it? What were the numbers before?
I don't have the numbers before.
Okay. How many people were killed on October 7th? Whatever that date was. 7th.
I think about 1,000, 1,100.
So Hezbollah or the folks that support them
that's
killed
Hamas.
1,100. Hamas.
And that ratio is 75. Israel has killed, there's no dividing us. We fund that. We killed 75 times more civilians in Gaza than were killed on October 7th.
Stopped funding the money going to Hamas. He stopped the funding of
That's
people
good.
who were being paid to kill Jews and Americans, and they then gave them a retirement for their children doing that. They've taught their children to be killers.
And hopefully the Israeli government, Bibi Netanyahu, also stopped funding Hamas. Part of the Bibi files is that he's given them
But the
more
United
than $1
States-
billion of funding from cash going through Qatar.
We need to listen and hear it. Yes.
Rebecca Goodman, Greenville 03, North Main. Did you bring a bullet list of your platforms?
You can go to roberteleeforcongress.com. No, I didn't bring one.
Okay.
Okay. So, I mean, I appreciate what Massey, Ron Paul, those guys do, but they do vote against the president and his
I would
agenda.
go against for all this war. So back on what we're doing in Gaza.
Nobody wants to go to war. Nobody here, I think, wants to go to war, but sometimes it
You
becomes.
can vote against it. So Palantir, the most advanced tracking AI software, is being used and developed in Gaza. So you would think that it would have a very good, just kill the bad guys, right? You know what the the ratio is? They kill 80% civilians, mostly women and children.
Where did you hear that? Where did you get your information?
Released information.
Do you have it on your website? Is it there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, go to my website.
I loosened it for you.
When Cain killed Abel, God told Cain the blood cries up from the ground. Think about the tens of thousands of dead children, innocent children that Jesus cared for. Jesus loved. When I was a kid, we sang, "Jesus loves the little children of the world." Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in His sight. And now we are funding, and we're allowing it. A lot of you don't know what's going on there because I'll say the trope, they control the media. How do they control the media? 265 journalists have been killed in the Gaza Strip.
Okay.
That's a very direct control of the media. It's not open. If we were doing the most.
Who are you saying is killing them? Who's killing them?
Mostly the IDF.
The Jews.
The IDF.
Okay.
There's only one confirmed, and it's questionable, of Hamas killing a journalist.
But is Hamas supported by Iran?
I believe so. And by Netanyahu.
I think it's
$1 million.
okay, but it's very well known that they're supported by Iran.
Right.
Iran has killed 42,000 of their people in the past few months, and during the protests before we dropped a bomb. Right? You're not aware of that.
I've heard that.
Okay, so it's pretty big out there. If those people were in control of the world, what do you think they would do? I understand what you're saying. The ratios are larger on our side now, certainly post October 7th. What do you think those people would do if they were king for a day and they could do whatever they want? You think they would kill every American on the planet? If they're willing to kill 42,000 of their people, we Americans were freaked out over 2 people in Minnesota who were killed. I think doing something they probably shouldn't have been doing.
Threatened the annihilation of that whole civilization.
So
And they have no means of contacting us. They don't have intercontinental ballistic weapons. We are not at risk. Yet our leader decides to threaten annihilate them all, probably with nukes. How else would you annihilate?
So you think he was talking about he was going to drop nuclear bombs?
I don't know how else you would annihilate a civilization.
He had literally said how he was going to put them into the Stone Ages. He was going to blow up their power plants.
Which is war crime. That's civilian infrastructure. That's not
Yeah.
bridges.
There's, I get where you're coming from. It is also, I get where people are manipulated into believing and thinking certain things, and from the libertarian viewpoints, the chaos viewpoints, from the democratic viewpoints, all this type of stuff. But if you made the Iranians king for a day, their leadership as it currently stands or stood before 6 weeks ago, they would kill every American on the planet.
They say death to America. That's what they want you to think
Yes.
about. But there are some elements in America which we don't agree with, and we would want to stop too.
So you
Like
want
the stealing of oil. We threw over their government in the 50s. Just so to steal it. We did the exact same thing. Well, in Venezuela, that's stealing. Why?
for stealing?
Yes.
So we're not selling the oil and giving it back to the people. So you think the leadership of Venezuela was not stealing from their natural wealth from their people? Or you would rather us stay out of it and let the criminal element that was running Venezuela take the money from their people, as opposed to us take their criminal element, sell their oil, and give them back the money?
Rather, America First platform where we just focus on America.
Okay, so you don't think cleaning up the Western Hemisphere is going on in the Middle East is putting America first? Because they have said they did not have the missiles, and then they sent a missile to that Diego Garcia.
500 miles. They have intercontinental ballistic missiles.
It can hit half of most of Europe,
The infidels.
the infidels in Europe.
Microphone.
Mike
please.
is the mic.
Yeah, there's one right here.
Oh yes, you have a question here.
Okay. Anyway.
Let's see it. Like, oh,
Lucia Trexler, ED, Eastside, and an Army veteran, U.S. Army officer. So, a few points with Lee. Do you believe that God ordains governments?
God,
Does
Jesus.
God, yes or no? Yes or no, please, sir.
Jesus says, "Blessed are the peacemakers."
Please
We
answer
are.
my question. Do you believe
We-
that God ordains governments?
We are responsible to vote and be the light of the world. Believers are supposed to be the light of the world.
You're not answering my question, sir. Does God ordain governments? Yes or no? It's in the Bible.
I've heard the God appoints kings.
God
We
ordains
don't have a king.
governments. And governments are given a sword for a reason. And protection of the faithful is a very big reason. You said that President Trump is not fulfilling his campaign promises, but I do remember a very big one. Keep America safe again. This is an international situation that is threatening the population of the United States of America. On the Venezuela point, Venezuela was the regime there was in direct cooperation with Iran and China.
Right.
They were a puppet of these other regimes, which are a threat to the United States of America and you and every citizen here. So President Trump is fulfilling his campaign promise to make America safe again. And it's high past due. Those people have threatened us for 49 years. They want to wipe us off the map, and getting an atomic bomb, they would do it. And they were very close. And President Trump had the duty to analyze the information that he was given in that regard. And as the executive, as the commander-in-chief, charged with protecting these people, all citizens of the United States, he had the duty to act. And it was high past due. They have killed Americans by their proxies. Our Marines in Beirut barracks. Come on. You are not looking at true history.
Well, for that one, the idea, there are records that they had more knowledge about the vehicle that bombed the barracks, but they gave the U.S. soldiers.
I don't know where you're getting your information, but you need to analyze the sources.
Right.
That you are
That was
using.
ex-Mossad officer Victor Ostro-Wiki.
I believe there's a lot of we all believe there's a lot of misinformation that's out there. There's misinformation and disinformation, and there's all kinds of things. So who knows what is out. Ray, next. Yes, sir.
Ray Calabro, President O'Neill Precinct. And, well, just a quick comment on what the CIA said for Venezuela. Venezuela has flooded this country with Tren de Agua and other gangs that have murdered and raped and drugged people and have killed thousands in this country. But do you consider my question is, do you consider yourself then an isolationist?
No, if there's a war or action that can be taken that will protect America that needs to be taken in advance, I'm for that. Problem with Iran is that negotiations were going fine. Trump wanted the negotiations to continue. Like I said, Marco Rubio mentioned that there was going to be an attack. So yes, in that case, maybe it did make sense to attack first, but why didn't we have the power to control our ally in the area and say, no, negotiations are happening. Let's wait.
So yes, we were negotiating with them, but we'd been negotiating with them for 47 years.
They
still want to wipe out Israel and the United States.
They did have nuclear inspectors in there.
They were denying them. They were
Another
denying
country
them. They were
that
denying
denies
them full
is our
access.
ally over there, which has a nuclear program, but is not subject to any international agreements. There's laws.
Talking about Israel?
Exactly.
Well, Israel isn't threatening the world with nuclear weapons.
That's right.
Do you think if Israel had a nuclear weapon, they would drop it on Tehran?
I hope not. That'd be a disaster.
Do you think they would? I mean, we have and we have not. We've had them for 60, 70 years, whatever it is. We have not done it.
Yeah.
If they had it, if Tehran had one, if Iran had one, do you think they would, and they had the capability of dropping it on us here in Greenville, South Carolina? The 4th Congressional District, do you think they would do it?
No, I don't think Tehran would nuke us.
You don't?
Think Israel would nuke Tehran.
Okay. All right.
There is an online question when you're ready. Emerson can read it.
All right, Emerson,
We have an online question.
Are you, is
I don't
it
know
your
if that's the
position,
question,
Ron DeFalla, EC, Fox Chase, is your position that everything is relativism then as far as morality? Because you have things going on that you don't look at, that the slaughter that's taking place against us.
Well, I mentioned some ratios. I mean, if you want to look at evil.
I'm not talking about in war, the
Okay.
ratios. We saw our country and our allies burn the whole city and civilians to break the will of this in World War II. My father went there. I was taught by a guy in history what their plan was after World War II. We don't want war.
Right.
You know, so let's all be interdependent. And they won't go to war against each other. And that is still in effect. That's the reset for the world. It's not working. It's not working. Plus, you've had socialists take over the lead of those things through the United Nations. Where's the moral outrage? They're not protecting you for freedom. They're protected for tyranny. So you got to stand up to tyranny or they'll take you.
I mean, they killed 42,000 protesters. Just shot them.
Just this week and a half, they hung some of their own athletes and women.
They just hung women yesterday.
Talk about moralism.
They had snipers.
The Pope criticizes what we're doing and overlooks
What they're
the
doing.
people they're killing right there, their own citizens.
Snipers shooting women right here because they didn't have their hijab on.
It-
That's evil.
This is an evil
Is anybody
Country.
offended by Trump making the meme post of him as Jesus and then not even knowing
That wasn't
that?
him, it's Jesus. You're listening to propagandists.
So is a doctor, right? He's dressed up as a doctor.
He wasn't Jesus. This is.
Trump is nuts.
All right, what's the question?
Read the question.
Listening to hearsay.
This may be less of a question, more of a comment. This comes from Elizabeth Gunther. Says, quote, let Mr. Lee know that President Trump's primary responsibility is to keep us safe locally and abroad, likely referring to the power prerogative that's vested in the executive branch as outlined by John Locke in his second true statement. So is it your belief that Trump is overextending his power and prerogative, or that this is a bad policy to be trying to secure American interests in the Middle East?
No, I think he has the power. If he sees the problem, and it was legitimate in Iran, he would have the action and responsibility to act on that the way he did with the missiles. My point is that I've seen that the negotiations were going well. I know the point Marco Rubio made that we weren't in control of that situation, and that is my main, I guess.
I think we
One more.
one more. So give her one more.
Do you understand that the very policy of Islam is to lie to infidels in furtherance of Islam? Do you understand that?
No, not familiar.
That's from the Quran.
This is from the Quran.
This is very, very standard basic stuff that's out there.
So that
And this is not conspiracy. This is, I mean, it is okay to lie, cheat, steal.
So that, Mr. Lee, the negotiations that the Iranian regime was negotiating in was, in fact, lies. They were buying time to further the development towards a nuclear weapon. This is what you're not understanding. They are a very serious, real threat to all of these people here. Because when they get it, if they were to get it, they would definitely use it. They are a fanatical Islamic regime. And Islam calls for the killing of anyone who will not submit to Islam. You don't understand what we're dealing with. You need to go and look and understand what Islam really is.
Follow up to that.
Yes, please answer.
Lies, but lies are not good. We attacked Iran during the middle of negotiations. I was taught when I was a child about the attack of Japan on Pearl Harbor in the middle of negotiations. That looks cowardly. That was a lie. I think that America is a powerful enough country that we can use our negotiating capability more effectively than to just use it for lies and then attack and fire.
Okay. So you are a massive fan. We've learned that. And anything else you want to kind of let us know, or Emerson has a question?
So transitioning from foreign policy, what else are you running on? Is it specifically looking at economically?
So, yeah, the government spending is very high, creating inflation, devaluation of our dollar. When my grandparents, both my granddads, they built their house when they were in their 20s, single income, no college graduation education. They built their houses like a 4-3 bathroom, 15 acres, have three bedroom or three kids a piece, about the same. And that dream is all but gone because I would say inflation is a huge one, government spending. If you look at the pie chart just from a high level, you see that healthcare spending is about 28% of it. Medicare, Medicaid, they're not going anywhere, but the costs and expenses that they're paying into, that the services that they're buying are for the most part vertically integrated and kind of designed to take the most money out of the patient as possible, just a wealth extraction device. So anything that can be done to increase competition and break up monopolies would help get that lower the cost of healthcare. Now, we were told when that infrastructure was being built, we were lied to, and we were told that would be efficiency. And yes, there's efficiency. There's efficiency for the big corporations that's sucking out of money.
I mean, there's a lot of issues in regards to that, and certainly on the healthcare and there's a lot there. So,
and if you're curious, who
I'm still trying to get over the 42,000 Iranians killed, and we're not
if
aware
you're curious,
of it, that's
who
okay.
helps set up?
I'm sorry, I can't get past of it, and it's a lot. And I actually wrote a post on X the other day. I was like, where is the outrage over this? Why are people not talking about it? They're freaking out about 2 people in Minnesota, and they're all upset at Trump for doing something that nobody else, quite frankly, I think has had the courage to do. It is not pretty, but it's a problem. These people would kill us if they had the opportunity. I think they'd drop a bomb here on the 4th.
Yeah, and well, so
and I know you're trying to change it to something.
Well, and so maintaining the topic of economics is my understanding, and I'm sure that someone here may be able to fill in the gaps in this. But in regards to the Mar-a-Lago plan, the plan was actually to begin devaluing the dollar because a lower value U.S. dollar will make our exports more competitive. It will also make borrowing money easier for the reindustrialization of America. I'm sure you understand that we have a particular advantage in the high technology manufacturing sector, and that has been part of Trump's economic policy from day one of the second administration, is to reindustrialize. So can you explain how do you reconcile that difference? You're also talking about that one of the driving factors of the lost American dream is this devaluation. You think there's another path from that, or what is your way forward in that regard?
Yes, that is true. A lower value dollar would help us manufacture more and sell more, and that's a very interesting idea. I'm curious about it. I'll research more about that. I like the tariffs idea to protect internal manufacturing and become more of an exporter than we are. We talked about China going through the Strait of Hormuz and stuff, but we are exports from China to the U.S. only represent 3% of their economy. They only export about 10 to 12% to America. I was surprised when I researched that. I thought we were a much bigger chip of them, part of their economy. But anything we can do to increase our competitiveness, manufacturing capability, I'm very interested in.
Okay. All right. Well, what's your website again? And because we got Mr. Kellet in the county council, and he's knocking doors too. I know. I'm sorry.
Robert E. Lee for Congress.
Robert E. Lee for Congress.com. All right. Thank you for coming to join us. We appreciate it. Pleasure to meet you. All right, Mr. Kellet. How are you, sir?
Good to see you again.
Did you see our farm out there?
Look, let me tell you.
What are we doing wrong with our? Mr. Kellet does have something called Kellet Farms. I don't know exactly what y'all do out there.
Well, we like I say, some of you may know me, some of you don't. My name's Alan Kellet. I'm running for Dan Tripp's vacated seat, County Council District 28. I have lived here my entire life, born and raised here. I am running and managing a third generation farm in Simpsonville. So we own about 100 acres down there, so nobody can say I'm in the developer's pockets because I still own it and I got cows on it. So, and let me tell you, I pulled in the parking lot and saw that corn popping up, and it just warmed my heart. And I was sitting there, I was thinking in my mind, I was like, I wonder if you put sulfur or atrazine in that, or I was just thinking in my mind what to make that go. But right now all we need is rain. But anyway, ran 2 years ago in that highly contested race for Circle on the House. Came up just a little bit short in that, but I have always wanted to serve the public. This is something that I kind of do, whether I'm holding office or not. I'm that guy that gets called when a pipe busts or a problem occurs. Always there to help my neighbor. And I see what's happening in the county, and I want to make some common sense changes. Farmers, we operate on common sense. We find a problem, we figure out a way to fix it, and we don't fart around with it. We get it done. And there's a lot of that going on in government. There's a lot of stuff that keeps put on the back burner. And Greenville's growing at an enormous rate, and it's changed tremendously from what I can remember as a kid. It's just a farm, but a downtown and everything around it was farms, but not anymore. And we can't stop it, but we can sure do a better job of controlling it. It's almost like our development has just somebody put a blindfold on and picked up a dart, said townhomes, and went, okay, they look good there. I mean, there's the planning is just terrible. We got problems with Greenlink. We got problems with property taxes. I had a lady call me a month ago, and known her for a long time, and she was looking for some help. She bought a double wide trailer in 1992. It was on an acre and a half of land, and somebody from California bought 2 acres next to her and built a mini mansion. Somebody from New York bought 3 acres next to her, built a mini mansion. She got reassessed. Now her property tax is $286,000 on a 40-year-old double wide.
Oh, wow.
You're kidding. And she said, "What can I do?" And that's what's pricing people out of their homes.
It happened in the Low Country a lot.
Yeah.
People that lived on the islands forever, and then all of a sudden everybody came building big houses on the beach, and all those people, they couldn't afford the property taxes.
I will say this though, Charleston did a better job placing their development than we did.
Right.
They've preserved more green space. It's and I was talking about this the other day to another group, and I said, what bothers me is you've got manufacturing plants on one side of this road, and then you saw, I'll just say, a golf course to be developed. Let's have manufacturing and industry together. Let's not have manufacturing plants here and 800 townhomes across the street. It's aesthetically doesn't work. Another thing we got to think about coming up to county council and who sits in the seat is we've got a comprehensive plan coming up again in 2 years, and Greenville has changed a lot in 10 years. So this plan has got to be on point for Greenville to prosper and just be functional for the next 10 years. Infrastructure first.
Right.
I think that's been our biggest problem. We have built and built and built, and we got the same main roads in this town that we had when I was in middle school. Wade Hampton, Pleasantburg, Augusta Road, 385, 85. That's 40 years ago. Same stuff. And now that speaking of, let me stay on roads.
Well, what shocks me is they want to make them small.
Yeah.
So like Wade Hampton out here, I look at it at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and it's packed with 6 lanes.
Everywhere.
And they want to change it to 4 lanes and make a bike lane. I don't understand it.
Well, and even better, now we got this thing, the state's floating around. They want to give us back all these thousands of miles of roads so the county can take care of them. And, and this is,
that's the gift that keeps giving, right?
I'm a big analogy guy. I like to give analogies for folks so they can make sure they understand. And this is like your neighbor coming to you and saying, "Hey, I got a car over here. I got a Mercedes that I'm going to give you. But by the way, it's got a blown motor and a bad transmission and 4 flat tires, but I'm going to give it to you." And that's what they want to do. They don't want to give us any gas tax money. Don't want to allocate any funding. And they want to give us roads that have been in disrepair for 30 years and put that burden on the taxpayer. And that's ridiculous. I mean, just ridiculous.
Definitely got the conversation started.
Yeah. And, the other thing that I get questions about is Greenlink. Greenlink buses. And I know y'all are like us. I was coming up here, past one, not a soul on it. Not a soul on it. Just the guy driving around the bus.
I think the other side is going to start putting these types of things. Just to make it look like there's about 20 to 30 people on the bus.
Here's the thing with Greenlink. Some people want to take a hard course on it and just cut it off. Okay? Cut it off. And I think, I may be wrong on the numbers, but I think the county subsidizes it with $5 million, but then we get like $20 million federal. All right. So In that aspect, you're giving it away. But common sense here, guys. Let's look at the root of the problem, okay? Root of the problem is it's been mismanaged for 10 years. And why have we got a $900,000 bus riding around with nobody on it? And this doesn't take a bunch of money. Somebody can analyze these routes and find out how many people are on at certain times of the day, and how long they are, and how far they go before they turn around and come back. And we can get a maximum head count on that route. And if it's 5 people, then put them in a church bus. Or if it's 2 people, put them in a Prius. But save us some money.
Let me ask you, who actually, because I know Joe Farmer's big into the Greenlink. I think he's actually on the board and stuff. Now, who actually runs Greenlink? Is that under the county? Is that the city?
As far as I understand, it's under the city, and I don't know. That's going to be a tricky situation for the county to make any headway on. I mean, yeah, we're funding it, but it's Greenville City buses. Right. It's kind of like Greenville County telling Malden City what to annex and what not to annex. Right. Which is another thing get on the city annexation. We got a bill in the Senate, S-262, which I like. It's going to make any agricultural land have permission from the municipality to be annexed.
Because right now, as long as 75% of the neighborhood agrees, then it can be annexed. This would exempt that for farmland.
Yeah.
Right. So the farmland itself would be protected.
My place is surrounded by houses. And I've got a 60-acre cow pasture, and then we've got a big hay field. And then we rent, lease, or barter another 600 acres in Greenville. We raise poultry herd cattle and do a custom hay baling operation. Wow. And I lose ground every year to develop, every year. So being proactive, which needs to happen in council, is something that comes to me naturally. We have transitioned our business model. We know it's coming. I'm going to lose so much ground I'm not going to be able to operate in the next 5 to 10 years. So we are no longer doing the traditional thing where we're taking our cows to the market. We've got all the licenses and things that we need to do and install freezers, and we're selling our meat directly to the public because I can compartmentalize my business to where it can take care of itself on what I own and I control, and it doesn't matter what develops around there. But there's some things that kind of irk me. There's a bill that's been in the House. It's H-3409, and it would increase the state tax credit on conservation easements. All right, and if you don't know what a conservation easement is, it's a program you put your land in. You're selling your development rights in it. But since 1980, the South Carolina state tax credit's been $250 an acre is what they pay you. I don't know about y'all, but I don't know anything that hasn't went up since 1980.
So essentially what you do, if you got 100 acres, you can sit there and say, I'm not going to build anything on it. Right. And the state will give you $250 per acre. It doesn't really make economic sense. Other states, Georgia, I don't know what it is. I think it was 1,000. I mean, it was something much more substantial.
That's what they're wanting. That's what we're wanting to do. Patrick Haddon, I think, has been trying to push this to go to $1,000 an acre, and then you get federal, state tax credits, and then you'll get some money. Mm-hmm. All right, but there are restrictions. You got to do certain things to do that, and I'm interested in doing that on my property, but I don't want to leave that money on the table. But this bill's been sitting in committee for 2 years.
It's a total sidebar. What I've noticed in Georgia, they had the tax credit, the state tax credit, and it was just anybody can do however they want to do. They can deal with, they got the credit, they can put it in whatever conservation easement program that they wanted to. What I've seen here is our legislators, which is a common problem. Our legislators are elected officials. They want to control it themselves. So they're the ones controlling the money and the credits, and who gets the money and all that kind of stuff. And I see that instead of free market, open it up to let anybody take advantage of the full availability of it, they're managing it, and you have to be part of the club to get your property protected.
And we did pass H-3591 last year, which was the Working Ag Lands Act. And that you're a farmer and 50% of your income came from agriculture, it would add money to that easement for you from the state land trust.
Okay.
So that is a good thing for actual farmers to put their land in an easement and preserve it. And you know, if more folks don't get on board with that, our green space is going to disappear completely. But now an easement, you can, you know, the farmers or the person that puts it in still owns it, just has deed restrictions on it.
Right. You can put it into an easement and say, have to continue to farm it. I just can't build a subdivision on it. Or I can build 1 or 2 houses. Whatever terms, and then there's a valuation they come up with and how much what the valuation.
You put envelopes, what they call it, where you can build a house. But it's not like you're going to build a townhome, park on it. And you can still sell it, but you have to sell it with that easement on it. So that's some things that I like to see done. I think if we could get more people interested in doing that in Greenville County, that would, you know, ease with some of the green space that we're losing. And you know, other than that, like I say, I'm just a common sense guy. I want to get in there and just do what I can do.
Well, you say that, but I've heard your name around for years. You know, since we got involved in whatever we're doing up here in Greenville. We moved back in 2016, and I've heard your name around. What is your community service? You've been doing things that, you know, you kind of said it in the beginning, but I mean,
man, I've served on, and it's all stems around agriculture because that's my thing. You know, and I'll tell you a quick story before I get to that. When I was, you know, my great grandfather farmed, my grandfather farmed, my daddy farmed, and when I was growing up, you know, Daddy just jerk you out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning to come to do whatever he said. It didn't matter. I didn't have a choice. There was no making plans for your friends. That was out of the question. And you know, when I was about 14 to 18, I despised everything there was about farming just because of that. But as I got older and I got more mature, when I turned about 24, something just clicked. And I mean, I'm talking 16, 18-hour hard days, input prices through the roof. You know, it doesn't matter. I do what we call farmers call town jobs. We have a town job to support our farm. Right. Yes. And I do that, but if I could farm full time, that'd be my dream. You know, everything. But as far as service, you know, I've served on FFA advisory boards for Greenville County. I've been the vice president. I served as the president for the Greenville County Farm Bureau for a long time. I resigned that position to do this. I thought it was a conflict of interest, me serving on that board and running for office. And you know, I've done a lot with him. I served as the Farm Service Agency assistant commissioner. Done a lot of stuff. Won the grassroots legislative award from the State Farm Bureau 3 years ago. And I told them down there, I said, wow, you guys give me an award for chewing out legislators? I've
not gotten that award yet.
That's all I did was
where do I
went to county council and complain, you know, about things. And I got an award for it, you know. It's great.
You got your own role in the SCGOP, so
yeah. So you know that's about me. I married my wife Heidi's wonderful. Couldn't do anything without her. Got 2 boys. We were blessed in September to have our first grandchild.
So that answers, someone just asked online, do you have kids that will take over the farm?
Yeah, I do. My oldest son, he's hit that mark. He's got it. He's texting me right now. When are you going to be back? We got stuff to do. So he's already on my case.
You done good.
Yeah.
There is a second question with the run for South Carolina Agriculture Commissioner. Who is your favorite candidate? Do you have one?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I've known Cody Simpson for a long time, and Cody's been there when I needed him. I didn't know Danny Lee Ford until Monday night, and Danny Lee and I talked, and I like Danny's points. I do. Yeah, so as far as I'm, you know, somebody's looking for a recommendation, I'm saying probably either one of those guys' platforms. Fred West, maybe not so much.
Okay. I'm excited to see farmers getting involved in more stuff. I'm excited about the Ag Commission, you know, race getting out there.
And one thing I want to do when I get in county council, because I know my community is going to support me, is we need an agriculture advisory board implemented into county council. We don't need to have 25 meetings to talk about it and kick it around, and it needs to get done.
Right.
All right, it's very simple. It's very simple, straightforward government. That's what I'm after here, and that's what everybody else wants.
Right.
We get tired of kicking the can down the road when it's something that obviously needs to happen.
What is available for the farmers now to be organized around preserving land for farming?
All right, so there's Upstate Forever. They're an easement group. There's a couple of groups in town that work with Farm Bureau Land Trust. Farm Bureau implemented a land trust about 3 or 4 years ago out of their organization. And what they focus on primarily, Upstate Forever is great, nothing bad against them, but they'll preserve or put an easement on a hillside or a creek bed or a mountainside or something. But the Farm Bureau Land Trust operates a little different. They are focused primarily in Greenville and Charleston, and they're focused on preserving farmland, active working farmland.
Okay.
So it's not like they're going out there and paying money for a bunch of pine trees, which I wish we saw a whole lot more of that.
Is there a good response of the local farmers to join this?
There is. There's some upfront costs in it when you do that. It's very little. Most of it can be deferred till the end, but it is a process. It's not nothing that's going to happen overnight. It's about 18-month process, I think.
So I think with our people, a lot of the issues are the overdevelopment.
Oh, yeah.
To me, it's into the fact that we're literally paying to advertise to get people to come to Greenville. And then they all come, and then we're like, oh, we need to tax everybody more because we've got all these people coming here. I'm like, you advertise to get them here. How do we cut that off? Those types of things. I haven't tracked down the exact numbers, but I think the county put some money in. The city is really, the light that's attracting all of this. But
I'm an EC from my precinct, and I took on my councilman and got it out.
Yep.
Okay, the last round. And it basically on my issue was the aesthetics. Talking about, I moved here 20 years ago. I love this town.
But you don't know.
It's totally the aesthetics changed. And I just asked my colleagues, why are you putting a train in your own neighborhood? I said, you're running your home. Why would you do that? It was all because he's only looking at his 40 acres. He said that I have my children, and when I get the best price, I'm going to do it. But what about the aesthetics and roads? Well, that's a whole different issue, etc. And we don't get money from the state to help us do the planning and stuff that we should have. That's crazy. I went to Rocky, Fort Meade. Well, my argument with my councilman was, why can't we be furniture planners in North Carolina? He said, why don't you move to North Carolina? Yeah, you like North Carolina. But then I go down to Rock Hill. I said, look, they're doing it around suburbs of Charlotte. That's a South Carolina territory. But they've got the wide medians and the green spaces, all planned out before you get a development in there.
Right. Infrastructure first. That's what I'm saying. But it's common sense.
Yeah.
And you guys do that. Not a lot of common sense with politicians. And I'm not a politician.
And my councilman didn't want to hear it.
No, you're right. I know exactly where you come from. You moved here 20 years ago because Greenville was a great place.
Right.
And now it's turning into where you moved out of.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
This works.
And here's the thing that bothers me. All right. When you take a forest land or a farmland and you develop it and you turn it into apartments or you turn it into townhomes, you turn it into something else, guess what? It don't never go back to farmland, ever. It's gone.
well, speaking of, what do you think about the solar farms?
That's the biggest waste of.
I mean, is that land is like unusable, right? After, I mean, they break.
There's so much contaminated PFAS chemicals and everything. I mean, put them on top of the Haywood Mall or on top of a building somewhere where they can be used. But why take up 8,000 acres of viable farmland? And a lot of people don't understand. Everybody thinks Myrtle Beach, Hilton Head, tourism. South Carolina still their biggest crop is agriculture. Biggest money maker is agriculture. Not around here, but overall, that's the number one industry in the state.
who's still continuing to promote the best place in the nation to move, right? So,
Yeah.
who's doing it? Stop the advertising first.
Yeah, and I, it all started out, years ago in that magazine, was Greenville's the number one place to live. And I live in Simpsonville. Good Lord.
Yeah.
Y'all tell me. I mean, it's bad.
Are you in the city proper?
No, I'm not. I just come and they're annexed.
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
Hillcrest.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I went to Hillcrest.
I just figured I'd throw that out there for people that want to know what high school you went to.
Yeah, Hillcrest Ram, played football.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What position?
I was a tight end. We didn't have much. I was about everything.
That's old Greenville.
It was like flipping the coin on whether I was playing tight end or defensive end or cornerback or whatever, But it was a great time.
Right. You grab the mic, kid. And let me ask you, because I know Ray will probably ask. There has been a movement. We have tried to talk about making Greenville a sanctuary county, sanctuary pro-life county.
Yeah.
Where do you fall out on that? What do you think the process or the possibility of us being able to do that here in Greenville?
It's going to be a long road.
Yeah.
Demographics in Greenville have changed. People's positions have changed. It's going to take a lot of planning, a lot of support from people in this room, and a lot of screaming and hollering to make that happen.
There's 3 abortion clinics in the state of South Carolina. One of them being here in Greenville.
Rhode, yeah. Somebody out there will sign right now.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we would like them to move out of this county. So that's what we're working on, and some of our folks are working on. So it's Stanju Blackus that put it up. I talked about it 2 years ago before he ran for House, and kind of wish Dan was still in there fighting for that.
And, that's been a long fight. They've been trying to get that thing shut down for years. Yeah, really. But I think the movement now is a whole lot more purposed for it than it was in past years. So this may be the straw that breaks the camel's back on.
Ray.
Yeah, Ray Calabro, O'Neill Precinct. You had mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned that, Jeff.
I'm sorry, I didn't think I was stealing.
No, you weren't stealing from me. I thought it hadn't come to my mind. It should have. But you mentioned Upstate Forever, and I went to a talk. I'm trying to think of the gentleman who was running it. Is it Brad? I'm trying to remember the gentleman who was running Upstate Forever. But I went to a talk. My wife and I about over 20 years ago, and we really were turned off by him because it seemed like their goal at the time was to cram everybody into like the middle third of the county, preserve all this land, all this green land. Yeah, I mean, you want to preserve as much as you can in the upper third and lower third, but literally to push all the population into the middle, which may be part of the problem we have today. I'd like to know your opinion on that because I haven't kept up with them over the years.
Yeah,
I've been here 40 years.
I mean, I haven't had much contact with Upstate Forever. We kind of initially talked to them one time about an easement, and then things just kind of fell through with them. They couldn't come up with what they promised, so that was the end of the deal. And that's about all I know about them. I do know some folks that are on their board, and I do know they kind of tend to want to preserve, forest land and stuff like that.
But it seemed like more than that. I mean, they were trying to get people to.
I've seen those heat maps too, and they are trying to just protect the northern part of Greenville County, the southern part of Greenville County, and force all the growth into the middle third. But my theory and my thought process is, why don't we just stop the growth? Stop paying for advertising to get everybody here. That's why I even on the pro-life side of it, make South Carolina the most pro-life state in the nation, where these folks stop moving here, or the good ones that want to escape and are moving here. If we are the strongest pro-life state in the nation, the libs aren't going to move here. They're going to move to North Carolina and Georgia and let them worry about it. But they're not going to move here because they're going to be so offended because we're obviously Neanderthals and believe in protecting life. I don't like killing babies, but that's been my kind of selling point with some people on it. But I think we got to stop asking people to move here. Because Olga and I moved back up. I went to high school here in Wade Hampton. Okay. I was a swimmer, so I didn't play football. I just went to the football game to find out where the party was. That's what we did in the '80s. But we left Charleston. We after grad school, I went to Atlanta, but we were in Charleston, and I mean, it just got overgrown. And but I read the magazines, Charleston, #1 place to live, Charleston, and then I'm like, get up here, and it's like, oh, well, finally we escaped some of that stuff. And 10 years later, it's the exact same way here. And I'm like, holy cow, how did it happen so fast?
And it seems like it happened almost overnight too.
Yeah.
I watched that in Atlanta. When that happened. I lived in Georgia. We watched Atlanta.
I did
Went
too.
from 200,000 to 1 million.
Yes.
And
Oh, wow.
Well, we're just a mini Atlanta now.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
Yeah, and I think the bigger conspiracy theory out there is obviously Asheville is kind of the left's little crowd, but it doesn't have the manufacturing. So they wanted to have Asheville moved into Greenville and have the the BMW, the big manufacturing and all that kind of stuff. That type of infrastructure. They have a long-term plan. We got to stop it. Yes, ma'am.
Rebecca Goodman, Greenville 03, alluding back to the Green Link. Being from Atlanta, I moved up here in 2021. I saw the progression of the MARTA and the buses, and it got to the point in Atlanta where, like Charlotte, people were being killed because of they didn't like the way they looked. I mean, it got really bad. And I got to the point, I was working downtown at the financial center in Atlanta as a commodities broker. And I got to the point to where I wouldn't even ride MARTA anymore because I had a gun store. I was having to pack just to ride MARTA, and I couldn't do it. And I was afraid. Got to the point to where I was fearful. But Greenlink, I think it's a good idea, but it perpetuates, I think, some of the criminal elements that are coming in to take advantage.
Yeah, and if it's run correctly, we need some safeguards in place for that as well. But my position on it, being a Christian, I've been a deacon in my church and served the Lord my whole life, but I can't good-heartedly chop Greenleaf off when I know out there somewhere there's an 80-year-old woman that uses it to get to the doctor or uses it to get to the grocery store. I can't do it. Yeah, maybe cut the funding and reduce the size or reduce the buses or something, streamline it. Somebody come in and streamline it. But, I don't know if Greenville's to that point yet, violent-wise. I know we've had some stuff happening here lately downtown.
Crazy.
Here lately, springtime's coming, it's getting warmer, everybody's getting a little antsy. But, it's, I know cameras are great, but criminals don't care about cameras.
So speaking of that, you want to read I think we talk about the sanctuary, but it was more on the pro-life issue, right? Sanctuary county. Yeah. Someone's asking online to clarify your position. Are you against making Greenville a sanctuary city for illegals?
No, we don't need to be a sanctuary city for illegals.
Right.
Is Greenville technically a sanctuary city for illegals?
I think we got illegals and abortion.
Number 1 county, not city. So let's clarify that. I don't know. I'm a little confused.
Greenville.
I think we're sanctuary.
No. As far as I know, we're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just not shipping them out.
Well, again, maybe the general question: would you support making Greenville County a non-sanctuary county?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think so.
This is going backwards, and I'm sorry.
I'm going to carry him around with me. I'm gonna do.
Well, you might say that, but he got rid of his last county
I might have
council.
missed
Something
something.
earlier too about impact fees and stuff. How is that going, Simpsonville?
Buzzer's over.
So 3 minutes of down.
Impact fees. Can you say something more about that?
Yeah, I had some folks question me about impact fees the other day, and I'm not against impact fees. I think if developers come in and they change the traffic flow or they do whatever, they need to pay for that. They need to pay for it. And where we screwed up, I think, in my opinion, is when we took 301 out before, couple 2022 or 21 or something.
Yeah,
And then we put that out. So
that's right. Yeah, I know.
then the burden's on the taxpayer.
Yes.
But, why should everybody in this room have to pay for a turn lane or a drain field or a traffic light or something.
Roundabout.
Yeah, $1 million roundabout that a semi truck can't even get through.
Drive over.
Like I say, common sense, common sense.
Well, we appreciate you. Come tell us your website again and social. How do people find you? Find your platform.
All right,
All
so
that kind of
it's
good stuff.
Alan Kellet for Greenville County Councils on Facebook and Instagram. It's kelletforcouncil.com. Working with a good group of folks and volunteers. My palm cards got printed backwards, so I would have had some today, but everything you had to like look at it in the mirror and read it on it. So
Really?
won't be using those folks again. Yeah. I should have stuck it on the front of my truck. But signs and all that stuff will be here next week, and we'll be going. Thank God my wife gets out of school soon. She's a school teacher, so she can help me.
We do have one question. I can almost.
Something came to my mind. In New York City, the MTA, our transit authority, has something called Accessoride. And if you're disabled and probably elderly, it's like a van that maybe holds 20 seats. And people pay themselves their own fare. I don't know if that's cheaper than running a whole bus line, but it's an idea. I don't know anything about it. Accessoride.
Well,
yeah, that's kind of what point I was getting to. Why have this giant bus that holds 60 people with nobody under 2 people? Let's just make it smaller.
Yes,
Yeah, and Joe Farmer.
to avoid the criminals and to get the legitimate people who are disabled or
Yeah, and Joe sent me that questionnaire, and when he published it, he put a question mark. And people said, does he not understand the question? But
I see you were trying to be fair. The red meat is, oh no, let's get rid of it. You want to find a way to help, somebody who is dependent upon it, which
there's always a way to make it work and make it work.
Right. Joe Farmer made a post the other day. I guess Greenlink was going around doing their marketing, and they went to a retirement home. And they're like, well, how many people at the retirement home are literally going to walk 3 blocks to get on Greenlink, to be taken to the grocery store, to walk 3 blocks, to go to the grocery store, and then carry the grocery. I mean, Uber's easy. I mean, it's probably cheaper. Shockingly how cheap.
Yeah, and maybe somebody on Social Security, fixed income, they can afford to Uber.
Yeah,
they need some kind of option. But man,
it sounds like similar to what you're talking about.
I mean, I look at it from a farmer aspect. I'm cheap, man. I'm finding ways to make stuff work really cheap.
Frugal.
Yeah, me and Jeff be best friends. But frugal, that's a great word for it. But I mean, there's still ways you can cut the fat on things and make it work.
I'm super cheap on coffee too. Just so everybody, that's our inside joke. Which you heard at the meeting the other day. Who's paying for the coffee?
Yeah.
Jeff Davis is getting the day old coffee. So, all right. Anything else you want to add in? And you're welcome to come back anytime. Everybody's welcome.
Yeah. Just hey, if any of you guys like what you heard today, want to support me, I tell people all the time. They say, "Well, I'm not in District 28," and I said, "Doesn't matter." I said, county council votes for the whole county. So put the wrong person in another district and you're making a mistake.
Yeah.
So if you want to support me, want to help out in the campaign, we would appreciate all the hands.
Well, Olga's put your website up. So just, go to that. Just Google Alan Kellet, ALLEN Kellet, and find your website and get in touch with you. And we appreciate you.
No, he is not.
Dan, the two main, Dan Tripp's not running, and then Joey Russo's not running. So there's 2 people he's running against, but Kyle Long is running in for this 28, and then 17 in the northern part of the county. There's four candidates up there. So.
And he does help the neighbor. He opened up my coat.
He does help the neighbor. I can't turn it down.
May 4th, we have the meeting. Just
oh yeah, May 4th. We're doing. Where is it?
Carolina Fine Food.
Carolina Fine Food. It's down there. We're going to do a little get together, kind of a Republican meetup, let people hear from a couple candidates, elected officials down there, and then just kind of spread the word. Some people get intimidated by Zoom meetings, like it's all this formality and all this kind of stuff. But we want to get more people involved. Obviously, we've got the newspaper that we're handing out. Our big focus is getting voter turnout. I mean, get more people. My belief is, the people of South Carolina are good, hardworking, conservative individuals, and we just need more of them voting. And it will naturally get us better, elected officials.
Yeah.
If everybody would get out and vote. Oh yeah, we do have a ball game on Sunday. So I don't know if we mentioned it. So, but yeah, we'll talk.
Yeah, fill me in on details.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I think Ray wants to do his update, so we're going to do that. I'm going to let you get back to your son since he's already said he was
killing me.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up. Oh yeah, come up here, Ray. So I don't know if that mic always works as good, but yeah, there was. I guess there is some updates on the pro-life side of it.
You're gonna be what?
Oh.
Sorry. All right, thank you. Yeah, one had a very interesting week. Before I talked about this silent nun who was praying across the road to the abortion clinic. Apparently that was Kawani in disguise.
Hey, Anthony.
Violating her ban.
Yeah.
So we're looking into that.
All right, say this again. What?
That silent nun that I talked about before, who was praying across the abortion clinic. Apparently, that was Kawani in disguise.
As a nun.
As a nun.
No.
And
You know, I mean, seriously.
I had two people tell me that they saw this woman getting in Kawani's van. So,
I don't.
so this. I told you it's an interesting week.
Okay. That's it.
If that doesn't mean interesting, I don't know what is.
Speak louder, Stacy.
Let's see, Cash's bill S1095, that would basically eliminate abortion except for life-saving procedures, which in my opinion is not an abortion to begin with. But anyway, S1095 actually got out of the subcommittee, so it's now at the full committee, the full medical affairs committee in the Senate.
All right. So what is it again? I'm sorry, we still couldn't hear. I mean, we like literally 5 minutes. What?
S1095.
S1095. Okay.
That's Senator Cash's bill. That he had a hearing in the subcommittee October 1st, I think it was, of last year.
Okay.
I believe it was October 1st. And it would basically eliminate abortion except for the case of saving the mother's life. And, at this point, we're playing, it's the politics of language. I don't consider saving a woman's life an abortion. That's a medical procedure to save a woman's life. Right. The fact that the child has to die in the process is not the purpose of the operation. The purpose of the operation is to save the woman's life. But anyway, it would eliminate killing unborn children except to save the woman's life.
So what happened? We had a hearing on it last fall, right?
Yes.
I think we actually may have broadcast that one or whatever. And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
what
we
happened
did.
now? It got a vote in another vote in the subcommittee, or got a vote?
Well, I'm not sure of the procedure, but it has moved to the full committee. It's
Okay.
no longer in the subcommittee.
Okay.
Whether someone just decided to elevate it without the approval, or if they had a second one, I don't know the information
Okay.
on that, but
All right.
it is with the full committee now.
Okay.
So that's the furthest the bill has gotten since the heartbeat bill was passed.
Okay. Does it have a hearing then, or is it just
Not yet, not that
okay.
I'm aware of.
All right. The
The
session ends on, I think, May 7th, whatever that first Tuesday is, which is sine die.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's not a lot of time to move anything. May 7th is a Thursday. That's when sine die is. Now, something could be added to the sine die resolution where they could come back and talk about it later. But it's normally not stuff like this. Maybe it is because they want to spend some time on it. I don't know. But they do move things toward the end of the session because things can move quick in the next, I guess we got 3 weeks left. So,
Okay, last one before I announce our upcoming events. The Pro-Life Committee is going to have a joint meeting with the Greenville for Life Committee this Monday. I still need to tell members of the Pro-Life Committee, but it's going to be held at Woodside Church of God. It'll be from 6 till 9 to accommodate both agendas. And that's at 1410 West Parker Road in Greenville, up on the northwest side. So this is going to be interesting. This is primarily, Greenville for Life is primarily a group of religious organizations. Some of them are partisan as far as which bills they support, but most of the group is actually all of the above. They'll vote for any bill that would save children's lives.
Good.
So I'm looking forward to this. As a matter of fact, more than half of my committee would be going to this meeting as well. So rather than have a conflict,
Sounds
we
great.
worked out.
Perfect.
We're going to try and have it both, and it will be on Zoom. So for people who don't want to go all the way out there, they would still have an opportunity to participate in the meeting.
Very good.
As far as upcoming events, again, on April 6th, Carrie's going to give I'm sorry, not April 6th. On May 11th, Carrie's going to give a talk on euthanasia-assisted suicide. It'll be over at Denny's. The usual time, 5:30 if you want to eat. The meeting itself will start at 6:30. On June 8th, we'll have Theology of the Body. Ray's daughter, Angela, will be giving that talk. And this is going to be an uplifting talk. It's one of the few times I can actually talk about something that's actually going to make you feel good about.
And that's going to be on Christ on Main.
Yes.
Downtown.
I'm going to, I did send Christ on Main the information they requested. I don't see any reason why they would turn it down. I'm going to try and verify. I'm going to try and talk to Charlie today after this meeting to see where we're on that. But I did give him everything that he needs for that. That will start at 6:30, but there won't be any food beforehand. And then on July 20th, I'll be giving a talk on morality and ethics, and actually listening to a lot of these politicians talk about debate on what they should and shouldn't do. I'm going to, and of course, living in a Christian country, Christianity and the Bible pops up. It's not going to be a Bible study class, but it is going to I'm going to try and talk about what morality and ethics are. I'm going to give my own definitions of them. So what I say after that makes sense, and hopefully people actually be able to have a deeper understanding on what this is, and make informed decisions based on that instead of just people throwing out words. Finally, June, the second Saturday of June. Let's see what that's going to be. I believe that would be the 13th of June. Yeah, 13th of June. Kylie is going to have a Love Life prayer walk in front of the clinic. It'll start at Christ the King Church. Our pro-life committee is actually co-sponsoring that event with them. Yeah. I go to almost all their prayer walks, but this one will officially be co-sponsoring this event. Of course, everyone's welcome at all of them, but June 13th would be an especially good time. If you can only make one a year, that would be one to come to.
Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. We didn't get to talk about Mark Lynch and his presidential pardon claim. But that's okay.
Hear that.
Yes, we and maybe it'll develop more.
Yeah.
He was on Bill Frady on Wednesday. It was Wednesday about dealing with the fact what's come out his 10-year drug conviction for cocaine back in the 80s, 84. So 10 years, only 10 years, felony conviction. But the issue is he carries guns around. He's a big Second Amendment guy, which is great. But if you have a felony conviction, especially drug related, it's another felony to possess a firearm. Possess a firearm is owning a firearm, holding a firearm, or within reach, or having it in your home. Those types of things. So, that could be another 5-year felony, up to 5 years. No. But he claimed that he said on Bill Frady's show that he had gone to Columbia, appeared before a 12-judge panel, don't know what that is, and got a presidential pardon.
Who are you endorsing?
I don't know. I mean, we were supporters of Paul Lynch. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul Dans. And, we can't really, how do you support anyone who won't come and talk to you? Right. Lindsey Graham doesn't come and talk to us. Mark Lynch refuses to come talk because we would ask him a question like that. It's like, what do you mean a presidential pardon? So, but it's a state crime he was convicted of or pled guilty to. Tina Peters is in jail because she was convicted of a state crime. She definitely, we all know she has a presidential pardon from Trump. It doesn't get her out of jail. It doesn't, where does this, I think he misspoke again but that's a big misspoke, and he keeps misspeaking. And there's an issue of if you're going to be a U.S. senator, how do you keep misspeaking like that?
Clearly a monetary issue why Paul Dan's dropped out.
I think so. Yeah, I think Paul Dans was trying to do the right thing. A lot of people have the idea that it needs to be one versus the other. It needs to be Lindsey Graham versus whoever, the MAGA America First people, whoever's supposed to board. I think the more the merrier, because guess what? The more people that are there, the more people that, I may not, if it's just you running against Lindsey Graham, I might not like you, but I'll vote for him. Get as many people to come bring out as many voters. That's the strategy. But there's a lot of people that have this whole, it's going to split the vote. So I think Paul Dans was getting a lot of pressure about, you're splitting the vote. You're going to be the spoiler. You're helping Lindsey Graham. You're the problem, blah, blah, blah. That was probably Mark Lynch people coming in, whispering in his ear, telling him that. Now it's going there are 6 people running, so there are other folks, but it's going to be a bigger cloud.
Are they going to have more debates with the rest of them?
I don't know. I mean, obviously Lindsey Graham is not coming to any debate.
He says he's got it in his pocket. That's how he feels.
He probably does.
And he probably does. That's what we've been saying. It was going to be an uphill battle before. I think Paul Dans getting out of the race makes it even more. I think, Mark Lynch's felony conviction, drug conviction, and it wasn't the only thing. If that was a 10-year conviction, 2 years later in '86, he has a 5-year thing. He's had all this other stuff that's back there. A lot of people knew that he had a drug problem, and he got past that and met his wife in drug rehab and all this stuff. It's all great. He talked about it in a very positive manner. And I do believe in giving people second chances and 10 chances or whatever, but it's.
I'd like to hear that guy Patrick again. He was so discombobulated.
He was. I mean, he's on social media, But again, Patrick as well, and he's attacking Lynch, So get rid of Lynch, and I'm the only person.
Yeah.
It's like if the goal or mission is to remove Lindsey Graham or get a new U.S. senator to represent South Carolina as opposed to representing other parts of the world, focus on that, not focus on I want to eliminate all the competition that's out there. And then I don't believe in attacking your fellow challengers if the problem is the current incumbent.
That's what you need to be attacking.
Right. Get it to a runoff, and then everybody supports.
The last 2 that came in here said they voted for Lindsey Graham all the way.
Well, yeah, I know. And it was interesting. And I will tell you, I mean, it was interesting to be, maybe I was, he's your buddy. I'm like, I texted. I mean, he's our U.S. congressman. Is it okay if I text him? I mean, we want to have a decent relation. Upset her more, but then not to even know about the 42,000, people that it just the whole thing was discombobulated. But we do have to understand this is where some people.
My reaction. Someone actually texted me and said that sounded like coming from Nate's book. To this is Tim and your buddy.
It was very
texted it to me. Like, what are we dealing here?
I didn't understand it. I don't know if anybody in Greenville is going to vote for a lot of that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just
his name again?
Robert E. Lee.
Yeah. Seriously, ruins that name. It's on TV. Sorry.
It's kind of it is a bizarre, and it's yeah. But I mean, a lot of people like Thomas Massey and all that kind of stuff. But if you haven't been involved and you just listen to that side of it, you get into a group think and you think you're doing better for the world. I'm like, you're actually more of an obstructionist than the Democrats, and that's, you can't, I don't beat up on, it's harder to beat up on Timmons when he's doing what the president wants, and he mocks him for, how jump how high, that kind of, I mean, like, we elected the president, right?
Right.
I didn't elect 400 and whatever, congressmen to sit there and give the president grief, on the House side, or certainly, or the 100 over in the Senate side. I'm like, we want them to push the Trump agenda. That's what we want them to do. We do want them.
Except for the AI surveillance, and I need to look into
there's a whole, there is nothing's perfect, and there's a whole lot of other little things out there. So.
Catherine Austin Fitz, who is an economist, she was an investment banker.
Need to grab a mic if it was. It needs to be on to speak loud into the mic.
Investment banker, she kind of worked with the Bush administration. I trust her though. She's coming out, what she's saying is that Trump is pushing the digital control grid. We need to be mindful if that's coming in, because we trotted out Larry Ellison. We're all going to behave because of AR surveillance. We have to stay on top of that topic because this is really scary.
There's a lot of scary things. I agree. Anything else? Do we have a motion?
Did y'all get the word? I know I came in a little late. The Strait of Hormuz
Is open. Yes. Yes. The Strait of Hormuz is open.
price of oil
Yeah.
is plummeting.
Yes, it was down.
Stock's going up.
It was down 13%, I think, earlier.
Costco was cheaper yesterday.
Yeah. All right. Are we out? Motion to adjourn. No debate. We're out. See you next week. See you at the baseball game. Anybody wants to come to baseball, let us know.